Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Sunday. So weekend's over already, unfortunately. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I did. Did quite a bit around the house and stuff like that. Still working on the basement, obviously, but it's progressing. So that's a good news there. Bitcoin was up today, which was nice to see at least. It was a kind of wild day. It was down and then was back up. So a lot of manipulation happening still in Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the miners, how they did last week against Bitcoin. We'll also take a look at the miners, what their current estimated their estimated cost of production is right now for these guys here based on the quarterly results that we had for all of them. We also will take a look at some good news that we do have here on Bitcoin and possibly also on Bitfarms as well. So we have all that happening here and we'll get into Q&A. Okay, so as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice, for treatment only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin today was actually in the green, which was nice. Obviously, we were lower. We hit a low of 87,000. We hit a high of 91,779 and 99 cents there. We closed out at 90,402 and 29 cents. So that wasn't too bad overall. We were down a little bit on Saturday, not too bad. So we'll take that. Better than what we saw obviously on Friday there. But today we're also on the new day for Monday. We're up a little bit as well. We're up 0.73% there on it. Ethereum also did pretty good. Had a wild day today also. Went down as low as 2,910, a high of 3,150, closed at 3,061. So things are looking pretty good there on those. And Ethereum's up a little bit more here in the new day for Monday as well. It's up 1.59% there. Miners, we won't get into those because we talked about them obviously here on Friday, what they did, which wasn't a great day for a lot of these guys here on Friday. After hours right now, or pre-hours on these guys, is looking a little bit better at least. Bitdeer's up 1.02% here. Bitfarms is up 2.73%. Kango is up just a little bit, 0.08%. Cypher is up 2.23%. Cleanspark is up 1.86%. CORZ is up 2.16%. Hive right now is up 3.2%. Hut 8 is up 2.62%. IREN here is up 1.01%. Mara is up 1.62%. Riot is up 1.49%. And TeraWolf is up 0.97%. So at least we're all in the green here, at least right now. We'll see how tomorrow actually plays out for us, whether or not we're going to have a good day or a bad day. We do have the rate cuts coming later on this week, I think on Wednesday. So that should be 25 basis points cuts there. Well, we might have some turbulent trading, I guess, in the markets for the next couple of days until that gets set in there. But right now, that's kind of what it looks like on that. If we look at Bitcoin here for the month of, quarterly, we're down 20.92%. For the month of December, we're down 0.26% as is right now. So still in the red here. We've had now at least it's 3 months in the red here. We haven't had that since 2018, where we've had 3 months in the, it's the only time we've had 3 months in the red for Bitcoin. It was 2018 during the bear market at that point. So, are we back in the bear market? Maybe. Time will tell, right? I still think we're going to be in an extended cycle, but we will see on that one. The Bitcoin ETF inflows here for Friday, we did have a positive inflow of 54 million, even though BlackRock did sell 32.5 million there. We ended up with 54.8 million inflows, beating the prior 2 days of negative inflows, or outflows, I guess you could say. And then the FedWatch tool here, probability of getting a 25 basis rate cut here on Wednesday is about 88.4%. So I think that's pretty much a shoe-in there unless they really, really surprise us there and don't do anything. Also, a good thing that we're seeing here on the Bitcoin network hash rate, it is actually coming down here. This is the 30-day average. We are back down to about 1.057 zettahash. Excuse me, zettahash. We did get to a high on it. Where is it at? There we go. A high of about 1.110 zettahash. Excuse me. So that's definitely come down here a little bit. So that's good news there. Some good news stories that we do have here. 2 of them are on Bitfarms here, and the rest is on Bitcoin here. But here's what we got. So Bitfarms dropped by 65% from the peak, right? We talked about that when it happened. But institutional ownerships are buying like crazy. Compared to the previous month, owned shares jumped from 120 million to 200 plus million. And this doesn't even include December data yet. They know what big money is moving. Watching closely, don't miss, right? We've seen this before. We've seen it in other miners as well. Whether it's Cypher, IREN, Cleanspark, Bitdeer, all of these guys, institutions are buying like crazy. And retail is the one that's kind of selling out. They're panicking a little bit. So retail is buying up, not retail. Institutions are buying up the dips for sure. on these guys, I think. They know where things are going to be going here in the long term. Okay, so that's good news there. Also for Bitfarms here, congratulations to Bitfarms. They will be added to the S&P/TSX Composite Index on December 22nd, 2025. So that's great news there. That should help the stock as well. And maybe we'll get a little pump at that point. Maybe a little Santa rally happening right before Christmas there. We will see if that actually plays out that way. Next couple things on Bitcoin here. JP Morgan still predicts Bitcoin rising towards 170,000 with gold-like trends. JP Morgan sees Bitcoin primed for a powerful climb as gold-like trading patterns and shifting market dynamics set the stage for major upside potential in the months ahead. It's definitely being, that's why I say it's going to be an extended cycle here. We were thinking we're going to get to like 150, 180 by the end of this year. Doesn't look like it right now. It might not be until like the first quarter sometime in 2026 that we get to like 180, 150,000 potentially here. Right, let's see here. Our volatility adjusted Bitcoin comparison to gold metric continues to imply a theoretical Bitcoin price of close to 170,000, suggesting significant upside for Bitcoin over the next 6 to 12 months. So they're even thinking about it being maybe even longer out than I am. And it could be the case that it actually goes longer or takes longer for Bitcoin to get to 180,000 or 170,000 before that. But I still think we're going to be going up here. And if this is going to be an extended cycle, that could mean, right, we're going to have lower increases in price over a longer duration of time, but we will get there eventually, instead of what we have seen in the past with Bitcoin having huge rallies, within a couple months going parabolic. So I think those days are kind of done and over with here for us as institutions, adoption, everything else happens in Bitcoin going forward there. Next is BlackRock also. BlackRock CEO doubles down on Bitcoin here. BlackRock CEO doubles down on Bitcoin while urging faster tokenization of all assets. So BlackRock's chief executive explained a dramatic pivot toward Bitcoin's long-term potential, framing the asset as protection in an era of fiscal strain while championing tokenization as the next force set to reshape global markets there. So Larry Fink shared last week in the New York Times Deal Book Summit that his thinking about Bitcoin has undergone a major shift since he labeled the crypto an index for money laundering and thieves in 2017. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, now manages the largest Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, ETF, and Fink used his appearance to outline how his views changed and how he sees tokenization transforming global markets. Right. So, yeah, they've definitely been late to the game, but it's better late than never, I guess you could say, with them. But he's definitely, I think his views changed on it when their IBIT, Bitcoin ETF there, started generating a heck of a lot of revenue for them. So that definitely helps out to change people's minds there as well. Fink says, I see a big, large use case for Bitcoin, and I still do today. So that's great, right? They're still thinking that things are going to go up here. This is kind of interesting here as well. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink backs Bitcoin while advancing tokenization of all assets. You guys can take a look at this. I'm not going to go into that because it does get pretty detailed here. But you're more than welcome to take a look at that. I don't want to sign up later. And then he's talking about obviously digitizing all of the stocks and bonds. It will reduce friction costs. Yeah, if we can get stocks to what is it? What's that called? Like right now it's 1+2 or something like that, where it takes like a day or two to oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. Brain fart, getting old. But you guys know what I mean. It takes to clear those transactions, it takes like a day or two for it to clear. Whereas right now things are moving, minutes, seconds on networks for crypto and things like that. That should move forward towards the regular stocks as well, right? Clearing should be relatively quick. Money in, money out. That's it. Okay. Next here, also on Bitcoin here, Ripple CEO targets Bitcoin 180,000 as Binance chief sees stronger Bitcoin ahead. So Bitcoin's projected climb gained fresh momentum as Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Binance CEO Richard Tang voiced bullish long-term expectations, reinforcing broad confidence that the asset could push higher amidst strengthening market structure and growing institutional participation. We've been talking about this for, now 2 years, right? We're seeing that adoption happening with institutions, companies, countries, all of that. They said here, Garlinghouse said, I'll go out and climb on a limb and say Bitcoin 180,000 December 31st, 2026. So they're talking about it getting to 180,000 in a year, roughly. So from where we are right now, it'd be 80% increase, more or less, 80 and 95% increase in a year's time. Is it comparable to what we have seen in the past? No. Obviously, we've seen Bitcoin do much, much better in the bull runs. But we haven't really had a bull run. Yes, Bitcoin has gone up to 127,000 from, what was it, at the bottom, 15,000, I think, when we bottomed out in December of 2022. But it's taken us that long to get to where we are here. And even at that point, we still had years, 2021, 2017, 2013, were much better years for Bitcoin as far as percentage gains here. But the thing that's changed here is as the value of Bitcoin has risen, the amount of percentage change will decrease, but we'll get a higher value, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So this all bodes well, and they could be also talking about, well, they didn't state it specifically, but it could be that, right, the global M2 money supply is exploding. Bitcoin will follow soon. So you can see the M2 money supply here, right around 160,000 in comparison to Bitcoin, roughly, right? If you look at the chart there, offset by 80 days, you can see where Bitcoin's at right now. Bitcoin will eventually pump up to that, whether it's going to be within the 3 months period, 6 months period, 9 months, or 12 months, we don't know. But eventually we'll start catching back up to it, I think. We've definitely decoupled it from it here recently, at least. So I still think we're getting to 280,000 Bitcoin, whether that's going to be, like I said, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it might be. Next year, we will get there. Sooner would be better, right? I think we'd all love that because it is definitely much more pressure on the miners now with the hash cost being where it's at. It's definitely putting a strain on the miners, right, to turn a profit. And that's why we saw, when we looked at it, that's why we're seeing the network hash rate on Bitcoin coming down, because Bitcoin price has been coming down even though network hash rate has been relatively high here. So I think this is the lowest that we've had hash cost or hash price on Bitcoin mining in a long, long time here. And usually two things happen. Either network hash rate continues to go down or the Bitcoin price will go up. And more likely chance of that is the Bitcoin price was going to go up some more here. Because we've seen this obviously plenty of times before as well, where that has happened here. We saw it, when was it? It's not going back that far. But we saw it back in 2021 where we had a dip in network hash rate. That was because of China FUD and things like that. And we've seen it other times as well where Bitcoin price is low and network hash rate is high, and things definitely change eventually and rebound after that point. Okay, so there's that portion of the news side of things here. Let's take a look at the miners here on the weekly. We'll get into this here shortly on the break even for electricity and costs, things like that. But here's what we have right now as far as the miners. How have they performed in the last 52 weeks from their lows to their recent 52-week highs and where they are right now, at least. And we can see here that Cypher has now outperformed IREN. It's up 936% from its low. IREN is still up 772% there. TeraWolf is up 603%. Bitfarms up 333%. Hut 8 up 322. Core 176. Hive 147. Riot 141. Cleanspark 112. BitDeer 72%. Marathon up 20%. A little bit better than Bitcoin here. And Strategy's up 15%. And Kango's only up 4.3% there. And you can see how far away these guys are now from their 52-week highs as well, with a lot of them being at 55, 60%, and even some at 75% away from there. As far as last week is concerned, well, we only had two companies that did kind of better than Bitcoin there, at least I could say three. Core was up 1% along with Strategy. Marathon was actually down 1% there. Bitcoin was down 2%. And I track it Friday to Friday on Bitcoin and the miners. Cypher was down 5%. Hut 8 was down 6% along with IREN. TeraWolf and Hive were down 7% along with Riot there. Cleanspark was down 9%. BitDeer was down 12%. Bitfarms was down 16%. And Kango was down 19%. The prior week, we had a much better week where the miners did fantastically well. So we're having a little pullback on that because possibly of what happened the prior week. If we look at the 4 weeks chart, we can see Bitcoin's down 5% here. We got Strategy underperforming, being down 10%. Kango as well, being down 21%, along with Hive here in the last 4 weeks. And then everybody else has kind of outperformed here at least a little bit or quite nicely. Cypher up being at 34%, TeraWolf up 32%, Cleanspark up 25% from 4 weeks ago. And then when we look at the 8 weeks time frame, things definitely look a lot worse. Bitcoin's down 16%. The only ones that have outperformed are Cypher being up 3% and TeraWolf being up 4%. And then everybody else has kind of underperformed here. Core is a little bit better than Bitcoin there, along with Hut 8. But everybody else has definitely taken a beating here. And then looking at the 12 weeks time frame, things change again quite dramatically. Bitcoin's down 23%, Cypher's up 57%, TeraWolf's up 32%, Hut's up 17%, IREN's up 16%, Core is up 3%, Cleanspark's up 1%, and then you got Riot doing a little bit better than Bitcoin, being down 14%, along with Bitfarms being down only 6%. And it looks like everybody else here has underperformed. BTBT down 28, Kango down 46, Marathon down 36, Strategy down 48% from 12 weeks ago. So it has not been a great time for the miners in the last, I would say, probably 8 weeks or so. And you guys have all felt it. You've seen it all come down in your portfolios as well. But we've been through this before. This is nothing new. We will go up higher eventually as well, right? It's just going to take a little time, like it did last time and the time prior to that. We go up and then we go down. Okay, so there's that. And lastly, we're going to take a look at I call it break-even, but it's not really break-even. It's the break-even cash cost, basically, is what I'm looking at here. Doesn't include stock-based compensation or what else does it include? Depreciation, amortization as well, right? So it doesn't include that. Things that we do look at are the quarterly results for Q3 for them. We're taking what their expenses was for SG&A, things like that, along with their cost to mine, electricity and things. How much, what was their average Bitcoin mine? What was their average hash rate for that period as well? And then we're extrapolating that data into where we are currently. And some of these were kind of, I put it up there that it's plus or minus 10% from where we are. So, right, this is an estimated number. A best guess based on their operations historically, where they are right now, more or less. And this is what we have. Okay, so IREN, I have right around 61, almost 62,000 right now. And that's obviously because the network hash rate for Bitcoin has increased. We're over 1 zettahash right now as it is. Cypher's around 68,000. Cleanspark's about 71, almost 72,000 there, along with Hive at 72. Hive has done a pretty good job coming down here in price over the last couple of quarters, which is nice to see. Riot's at 82,755. CORZ a bit high. I double check the numbers on Core. That's just kind of numbers that I'm getting for them, unless they put some stuff in there for SG&A that I wasn't expecting. But they're still running out older machines, older fleet. Hash rate's been coming down. So that does kind of make sense that they would be almost double from where some of these guys are in price, right? Because a lot of these guys are operating like the 230 terahash machines or higher, whereas Core is operating like 140, 100 terahash machines. So that kind of makes sense that they would be almost double there. Bitdeer's at 78,000. Bitdeer's does finally come down as well. And Marathon has also come down to about 89, almost 90,000, right, for just the cost to mine electricity, to covering basically cash expenses at this point. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Going forward, it's going to be a little bit more tricky to track them. Some of these guys will not be providing monthly updates like IREN, Cypher, Marathon as well, Core also. So that kind of leaves us with a couple miners that we have left that will provide that information here. So we'll try to do our best at it, and we'll see where we going after that. All right, that is it. Spreadsheet. I got to make this available to you guys tomorrow. I will make this available for sure for the Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. If you want to have access to all this data that we track here, and help support what I do. Really appreciate you guys there. And all of you here on YouTube coming in, chatting and all that stuff. So let's get into the chat side of things. Let's talk about some questions. Q&A, see what you guys think, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see what we got going on here. I want to go here. Q&A. As always, if you could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. And then we'll work my way up and work my way down as always. Let's see here. Dan says, hey, Seb, you the man. I appreciate that. You guys are definitely wonderful. Thank you for that. Sel says, hi. B82 is back. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you as well. SK15, does stocks move up during quantitative easing? Can you please look at last quantitative easing? Okay, let me write that down because I will have to take a look at that or I will forget. So bear with me while I write this down. I will take a look at it. I think they did go up last time. We did quantitative easing during the pandemic, right? And things went up on a rally there. Obviously, we had a sizable dip at that point, but yes, I do believe that they ran up even at that point as well. So let me see here. Stocks. Let me write this down. Stocks, QE, impact on it. Okay. Let me see if I can pull some data up for maybe tomorrow or something like that. All right. Stephen White's got a question here. Seb, what are your thoughts on BM&R? Thanks for what you do. You're very welcome. And you guys kind of know my thoughts on BM&R and all the treasury companies. I love the fact that they're buying up these treasuries, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or others as well. I'm just not a big fan of going into them. Yes, supposedly they're supposed to have a premium, right? On the Bitcoin that they get their, I can see a little bit more in like the Ethereum holding companies because you actually get a yield there, right? Because when you stake it, you get some percentage of that. So you should get at least like a, maybe a 5% premium on it, maybe 10% at the most. So like a 1.1 MNAV or something like that. That's kind of where I stand on those right now. I've always been a strong supporter of if you're going to buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. If you're going to buy Ethereum. I know it wasn't easy to do in the past, but it's definitely gotten easier now, I think, with all the exchanges and then getting it off the exchanges for your own personal wallets or hardware wallets, whatever it might be. It has gotten better. In the past, it wasn't so easy, so I could see why some people were hesitant to do that. But right now, there really isn't any reason why you can't do that. And that's kind of my take. It was the same thing with, like, remember going back to 2021 and 2020, I think it was, where you had all of these yield products on Bitcoin, right? You had Circle, no, not Circle, sorry. It wasn't Circle, it was, what was the other one? Gosh, the guy that went to, I think he's going to prison right now. Oh, what was that? Celsius? Is that the one I'm thinking of, right? Celsius and others that were giving yield on Bitcoin. I never got into that. That just seemed too good to be true, right? When certain things are too good to be true, they're more than likely to be too good to be true. So I never got into that. I never got behind that. I was just like, man, I don't like giving out my Bitcoin to somebody else that I don't have control over it. But that was me, right? A lot of people did it. They did great. Some people held on for maybe too long and got hurt at that point. But I was talking about it at that point as well. It's like, that's not for me. That's just a little too risky for me. But like I said, I love the fact that they're buying up Ethereum and Bitcoin and all that stuff, but I just don't know what kind of a premium they should command. I think like a 1.1 at certain points, maybe even a 1.2 tops, 1.3 MNAV, okay. But when we saw MNAVs on like Strategy last year being 2, 3, I think it was at one point, that's just too much. Unless you really think Bitcoin's going to be going, 3x within a short period of time, which obviously we haven't seen that here last year. So that's possibly why Strategy and others have been beaten down so much as well. Okay, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Does it mean that it can't do well? No. BMR is obviously headed there by Tom Lee. So I think that should be okay there. Hold on. Let me turn off the heat here. Let's see, turn that down as well. Actually, I think it's just the fan going. Forgot to turn it off, sorry. So if you guys hear the fan go or the furnace going, that's why. All right, I'll leave it at that here. Dan says, I just want to say, take this moment to realize we are all winners here, and we will beat them at their own game. Stay focused. I agree with you there. I'm with you on that. Spin says, thanks again for the show. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming in. All right, Connie, can you explain the impact of the Clarity Act will have on Bitcoin and the miners? Okay, when that passes, has that one already passed, the Clarity Act? Is that the one we're waiting on, or is it the Clarity Act? I think that's the one we're waiting on where we can have a strategic Bitcoin reserve on it. Let me look into that as well, because I know we've gotten some stuff passed, but we're still waiting, obviously. Okay, Clarity Act, let me write this down. Clarity Act impact as well on BTC and miners. I know they're working on something. They're trying to get something done by the end of the year here. We'll see if it gets done, actually. So maybe tomorrow we'll talk about it as well. Okay, next here, Mark. Scenario, you have 150,000. What AI stocks would you buy? I would go for the ones that have a lot of megawatts under their belt right now. So obviously, IREN, Cypher, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, TeraWolf even, I would say. I would also look at, well, we can't get into XAI. XAI is still private. Who else? I think Nibius and CoreWeave are kind of highly priced right now as it is. They're getting a huge premium on it, but they also have a lot of customers there. Who else? I think the infrastructure plays right now, right? Any of these guys that have a lot of megawatts, the megawatts are going to be in huge demand. I saw something on X, I think it was today, that they were talking about, I think Google mentioned that ERCOT is not going to be accepting any applications for additional megawatts to build out data centers or something like that. That they already have a huge queue in place right now. So megawatts is the big thing, right? That's the line in the sand, basically. If you have megawatts, you can build out. If you don't have megawatts, you're not building out. A lot of these guys need the megawatts there. Andrew asks, hi, Seb, can you fact check the Bitfarms institutional ownership? I checked and didn't see that info anywhere in a Google search. You may not see it in a Google search. If we look at the data that I have on Bitfarms here, I have been seeing it also because I track the institution side of things for Bitfarms every month. And let's see. Excuse me. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. So this is what I'm going to take a look at here. So here's Bitfarms, right? We've had the last, what is this? 1, 2, we skipped a couple months there because they stopped providing, but we got the quarterly results here at that point. So we have data going back to basically last year, right around this time frame. So last year we were about 96 million in Bitfarms shares owned by institutions, which was about 21%. This time around, beginning, I probably should update this to 11 or 12, see where that's actually at. But even last month, we were at 173 million there, close to 200 million, like they're reporting. So I am seeing the same thing happening as well on it, okay? So that is happening, okay? Let's go back here. All right. SK's got a question here. Does Bitcoin move up during quantitative easing? Yeah, moved up last time. I think it does. Question, quantitative easing in Q1 or Q2 of 2026. I think we're going to see probably, I would say, maybe both, potentially. I mean, last time we did quantitative easing, it was for a couple quarters. Okay. Let's see. Black, what is your IREN target? When will you sell? My target is above $100 for them. Could be even higher than that, depending on how well they build out, how fast they build out. Do they also get other contracts? Do they also, install more GPUs for themselves and their customers there? Right, that all will depend on how far they can go. But I think they can go over $100, at least based on what I'm seeing, the megawatts that they have available for next year and the following year as well. There is huge potential for them. It's costly, right? We know it's going to be costly. An event upfront is going to be costly, but I think once they build out the data centers, get those paid back, paid off, you have those data centers for then 20, 30, 40 years, right, where you don't have that additional cost going forward. So I think that's going to be a good thing for them and for the shareholders as well. All right, Rob, Seb, in terms of share price between Hive and Bitfarms, which one will be higher in 1 or 2 months from now? Which one will be up higher percentage-wise? I guess it's what you're looking for. Hive is at 25 exahash, right, which is kind of what their target is. Next year, they're targeting to get to 35 exahash, I think. But they're also moving into HPC AI business. They're building out, transitioning their sites in Canada for HPC AI to a tier 3 data center. So it's a race between really Hive and Bitfarms are in a way, because they're both Canadian miners historically, but they're both definitely trying to get into HPC AI. I don't know who's going to do better. I think because Bitfarms has operations in the United States, with the sites in Washington and also the 2 sites in Pennsylvania, or 3 sites, I think they might benefit from that a little bit more. Plus, we obviously saw Bitfarms being included in, what was it, the, I'm drawing a blank on it, on the S&P TSX Composite Index on December 22nd. So that might help them out there. But you just never know. We're always one good news story from any of these guys pumping like crazy. All right. All right, B82, not looking for a political answer, but if the Russian-Ukraine war can be resolved soon, will that have a positive impact on BTC price? I don't know. I don't think that thing had any impact on Bitcoin price. I mean, we saw the stock market still go up. Obviously, the market went down when the war started, but it rallied afterwards. I don't think that has. I mean, it's a local issue. It's not a global issue. Is it having an impact globally? Yes, it is having an impact globally, but not to the extent that would have it, I think, material impact on Bitcoin price. So would I love to see that happen? Yeah. But that's going to happen when somebody's got to basically give up, right? Whether it's Russia or Ukraine give up, one of those two has to give up. So we'll see how longer this thing protracts going forward. All right, Rob, and And what share price do you think Hive and Bitfarms will be in one? Okay, I talked about that one. As far as price wise, I mean, December right now is lackluster for everything here that we have. I mean, where are these guys right now? Let's see. Bitfarms is at, where are they at? Let's see, Bitfarms 292. I mean, I would say somewhere around maybe $4 if things go well. That'd be roughly 33% increase. On it, Hive is at 312, so if they can get to like $4, something like that, right? Unless things really start to rally, with the rate cuts happening here later on this week, but again, it's the end of the year here, so we're going to have probably some selling happening for, mom and pops funds and things like that are going to be taking profits and writing on their books here, so we're going to possibly see some selling at that point. But I think later on, January, February, we might do better. Erwin says, Clarity Act has more to do with countering all the manipulators. SBR is a different issue. Okay. Then I'm getting those two mixed up then. All right. That's kind of what I thought. But I'll take a look at it, nonetheless. All right. BA2, who will announce an HPCI deal before Christmas? I mean, Cypher sounded pretty confident they might have another deal later on this year. IREN also sounded pretty confident as well. I don't know. It's hard to tell right now. All right, more Tim's. Devil Advocate here. Okay. The last BTC runs had near zero rates due to COVID shutdown. The run before that, we had easy money from quantitative under Obama. Yes, 2017 run obviously was a very nice run there. Yeah, but even Bitcoin, I mean, even if you look at it right now, we have quantitative tightening, and Bitcoin still did pretty good overall, right? We were at 15,000 on the low in December of 2022. We got to 126,000. I mean, that's still really good performance overall. It's not what we would have expected, but it's still pretty good performance. And if we continue to go up here higher over a longer period of time, it's still going to be pretty good there, I think, right? But it's also making it challenging for the miners there. BT, what about Lumen for HPCI play, data center, connect infrastructure? I don't know about those. I haven't really looked into those. So I'm not going to comment on it because I just don't know. Paul, hi Seb, how do you feel the Fed J. Powell rating will be this week on Wednesday and impact on BTC? Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a rate cut. As far as the dot plot, as far as how that's going to play out, I have no idea. Impact on Bitcoin here, that should help out. That should also spur the economy. It should help, I would think, right? And then if we go into quantitative easing as well, that should be another positive for us as well. Yeah, I'm still long-term bullish. I think that we're not having another bear market like we had in the past where we go down 70, 80% in Bitcoin. I think this is going to just be, we saw a 30% correction already, what was it, late last month, which is the third 30% correction that we've had here in the last 2 years. And then I think we're just going to continue to go up, and we'll come back down, 20, 30%. We'll go back up, and we'll go down and repeat that, it seems like. For at least, I'm thinking at least for the next year or two, and then we'll see what happens after that. Morton says, maybe no big run this time because rates will not be near zero like last two runs. Yeah, but I mean, we're seeing the global M2 money supply go like crazy. We're also seeing gold do very, very well also. I think there might be some rotation happening, and maybe we are just a little bit delayed on how things do. All right. Paul, got a question here for the Bears. How will Bears do this coming weekend against the Browns? I think they will do actually pretty good. I mean, it was such a close game with the, I watched it with the, Cheeseheads. Gosh, I'm trying to blank on the name right now. Lambeau Field, Green Bay Packers. There we go. It was such a close game. If it wasn't for that interception at the last second there, would have been a really good game. Maybe tied it, maybe went into overtime. But man, it was still pretty good. I was pretty happy with the results nonetheless with the Bears. How will they do against the Browns? I think they might win it, and then I think they're going to be looking to have a little bit of payback with the Packers again in 2 weeks. So that should be a fun game there. But we're not here to talk about football. What else we got here? Yeah, well, Bitfarms will be on the TSX Composite Index. More institutional ownership incoming. Yep, talked about that. Black, let's see here. Do you see IREN at all-time high before New Year? No. I don't see that before New Year. Before end of next year? Yeah, I see that happening before end of next year. Yep. Yvonne, let's see. IREN versus CoreWeave. Which one is better? IREN. No. Bitfarm has offers in their inbox. Can Hive say that? Can Cleanspark say that? We got to stop acting like Bitfarms is as far behind as others too. When it comes to getting deals, Bitfarms will get a deal first. When it comes to Hive has a deal with was it Canada Bell and I think the Canadian government as well, right, to build out AI data centers for sovereign AI. So they have something going on there. We don't know the details of it, but something's going on there. Bitfarms obviously has conversations with hyperscalers or whoever it might be, enterprise customers for their site in Washington, which is great. And we've heard the same thing from obviously Cypher before they got deals. We heard the same thing from IREN before they got deals. All of these guys are having communications, right? All of these hyperscalers, enterprise customers are looking for sites that have megawatts potential, right? So they're all doing their due diligence. It's not a secret, right? It's one of the, I mean, everybody would do that, right? If you're in that space and you're looking for megawatts, yeah, you're calling up who has megawatts. So I think Cleanspark's in that boat as well. I think with the purchase of the Texas sites, that put them in the direction there, plus the sites they have in Georgia, Atlanta, right? They got some really good sites there that they can build out. So they're having conversations as well. It's just who can negotiate the deals and who can basically provide how fast it can get stuff done there. I think that'll help out. But yeah, all of these guys, I think eventually will get a deal of some sort. Let's see. Morton, question. Franz Baker in his group said IREN earnings in the next reported quarter could be a dumpster fire because no domestic prepayment money received in 2025. Have you heard this? Yeah, I mean, you're not getting any, well, I don't know if they're getting the prepayment. I know the prepayment was to help build out. So it might be in 2026 that they get it. So this current quarter, I think they're still going to be operating close to 50 exahash. I think it might be like 45. I'm not sure exactly where, but they still should be generating revenue from it. Bitcoin being down where it's at in price doesn't help out. And then if they have to put on all the convertible notes that they added on there, that's going to hurt obviously a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a dumpster fire. I could see it being down, but you're always looking for the future, right? You're always looking into the future as far as where could they be in the next 12 months, 24 months, things like that. At least that's where I'm looking at. Okay, let's see. B82 question: going forward with the current miners, will HPC-AI or BTC price dominate their share price? Right now, it's HPC-AI, right? We are definitely seeing that happen here. Companies that are getting to HPC-AI have been getting revalued on that and getting a premium on it as well. Not as much as some of the other data center players that are out there that have been established in a long time, but they are getting revalued, which is nice. Going forward, if Bitcoin goes on a huge rally, which I don't think it will, I think it'll just continue to go up much slower and much longer. But if Bitcoin was to do that where it would go parabolic, I think at that point maybe they get re-rated on that, especially the ones that are still mining it. But right now it's HPC-AI, and that's probably going to continue going forward. All right. Now, well, I think Cypher's third deal was the amended one they have with FluidStack there, where it will get the entire 300 megawatts of Barber Lake. Okay, now that could be a possibility there, or it already happened. I'm trying to think here in my mind. There's just too many deals they got going on. Morton, seems like IREN has a current safety floor of at least 40. You think it's holding it pretty well, right? It's been bouncing off. Let's take a look at IREN here really quick. Let's go back here. So you can see IREN here got down to about 39.44, bounced off of that, and it's been going just kind of sideways here ever since when was this? Middle of November, it looks like. It's been just kind of going sideways up a little bit. It's been bouncing. It's been touching the 50 SMA, touching the 100 SMA as well. It's kind of bouncing between that right now. As long as it can hold the 100 SMA here, I think we'll be okay. If it comes down in price, that's going to be a really good entry point on that one. I believe, I strongly believe in IREN and their management team and their board and everything else. They have been definitely doing everything, tremendously well here in the last, I would say, 2 years, 3 years even. So I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, things are changing in the space. We were originally thinking that we would be selling out of these things come November, December of this year, but it looks like with the transition to HPCI, we might be holding on to some of these things. At least I am, for maybe a little bit longer, for another year or two. Who knows, right? Depending where they go and how do they grow, and yeah, all that fun stuff. Back here. SK, the only major catalyst for liquidity injection in markets is quantitative tightening ending and quantitative starting. QT ended 1st December and QT about to start in Q1, Q2 2026. And riskier assets do best in quantitative easing. Okay, so that's going to bode well for Bitcoin, miners, AI players, all that stuff. Bitcoin alts and miners should flourish. Yeah, I would think so as well. I mean, even without all that stuff, I mean, look at where we were with IREN, with Cleanspark, with Cypher, with TeraWolf, and all this stuff just like a year ago, as far as price and where they are right now still compared to that. So things have done really, really well regardless. Some things not, but some things have. So, all right. Let's see. Rob says, Seb, thanks for the analysis last Friday concerning the efficiency of the miners. I was very impressed with Hive's small miner ranked 3rd. Yeah, they are doing very, very well there. Martin says, Seb, you counter negatives with positives. I try to be positive. Try to stay positive at least, right? Let's see. Yvonne, BOJ hike rates. Are you talking about DOJ or BOJ? Hike rates, but Fed reduces rates, so no more yen carry trade. Oh, Bank of Japan. Okay, BOJ, Bank of Japan. Yeah. Yen carry trade is ending, right? A lot of people use that to their advantage, but it is definitely stopping there. So I don't know what kind of impact that's going to have. We'll have to keep an eye on it for sure. At 123, Sabang, pros and cons for Mara. Pros, I would say, large HODL, which they can be used for something else if need be. A massive HODL, right? They got, 50-some thousand Bitcoin there that can be utilized for something because they're not really being valued on that right now. They do have a lot of sites, I would say. They bought the wind farm site as well, which should help them lower costs on some of the older generation ASICs as well. So those are good things there. They have their own Mara pool, which is a good thing. What else can I say as far as positive? I mean, they have megawatts. That's basically about it. Operations have been up and down, right? Sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been bad. They're kind of, in between a little bit, right? They're not perfect. What else is bad? Obviously, the debt for the buying Bitcoin, not a big fan of them doing that, but it is what it is now where they are. The cost to mine is expensive for them as well compared to their peers, and that is because I think 65% of the sites they own, 35% are still hosted with others for their machines. It seems also that they are kind of spreading out into too many different things in Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining and things like that, right? With their 2-pick immersion cooling, their chips for motherboards for computing. What else? Heating apartments or units in Europe as well from Bitcoin mining. Like I said, it just seems like they're not as focused as some other companies are. They're kind of getting out there in too many things, trying to see what sticks to the wall, basically. Not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of also all the compensation that the management there is getting, right? I think it's way, way too high for where it should be for these guys. And they're not the only ones there as well. What else don't I like? The constant dilution of shareholders, not a big fan of that either, right? To hold the Bitcoin and everything else like that. But I think that's basically it. So that's kind of where I see things, or at least right now that I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, talk about that. Let's see. BD2 says, buying calls in Cleanspark will they announce a deal before March 26th? Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know, right? I'd love to be a fly on the wall there to hear the conversations that are going on. If we get a deal sometime next year before the end of the first half, I think that would be good. If we get it before the end of the first quarter, that would be great also. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I had an inside source or something like that. Actually, I don't, because I don't want to be accused of having insider information. So no, I do not want to know on that one. All right. Neville, sorry, Cypher has only a deal with FluidStack. The original got amended to include more megawatts. I need to go to sleep. Oh, well, good night. Good night, Neville. Yvonne here. And Nibius versus IREN, which one is better? Right now, I think IREN, to be honest with you. But that's just my take on it, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with me on that one. Mr. X, how worried should we be for strategy to liquidate their BTC holdings? How low does Bitcoin have to go down to that? I heard somewhere around like the 20s or 30,000 mark, I think, before they get liquidated or something like that, a portion of that stuff. So I think we have a long ways to go before that happens. Adam, question. I know you have a low entry point for IREN, but why wouldn't you want more of the best company in this space? So the way I look at it is, okay, yeah, I could possibly buy more IREN shares right now at $40, right? But usually I've been buying like $1,000 to $2,000 worth of stocks a month, right? Roughly, somewhere around there. So when I look at things is, okay, how much of an upside can I get from IREN right now? How many shares could I get for that? And could I possibly get something better from that as well on somebody that's maybe more undervalued compared to IREN? So that's kind of the way I look at it. Is it the right way to do it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's kind of worked out for me in the past, right? I did the same thing when I sold Cleanspark shares back last year in the summertime and bought IREN shares at that point, right? Because I just saw the growth and everything else happening. But that worked out really well for me. Did the same thing later on with Cleanspark and IREN, selling a portion of those shares to buy Cypher as well at certain points. So I'm not opposed to buying more when things are even running high, because I did dollar cost averaging more into IREN as price was going up to a certain point. But at a certain point, you gotta say, okay, do I have enough? Probably not. Am I happy with what I have? Yes, right? And if IREN can go still, let's say IREN goes to $140 per share, that's 7 figures for me and basically profit at that point. Am I going to cry about that? No. And then if I buy an additional, a couple of thousand shares or a couple of $1,000s worth of shares, that's only going to mean, maybe an additional $10,000, $15,000 more that I might get out of it. So the risk to reward there isn't that great right now, I guess. Guess what I'm trying to say. Okay. Rob, Seb, is JP Morgan the biggest bank in the United States? I'm Canadian. I think it is. I think they are the biggest. You got JP Morgan Chase, you got Bank of America. Who else is in there? There's another one as well that I'm drawing a blank on it right now. But yeah, I think it's one of the biggest there. All right. BD2, let's see. Web, I'm guessing you're trying to say Seb. I didn't buy more IREN, but I have sold some put spreads, really good premiums last week. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you guys can definitely play it how you see fit, right? I don't get into options. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to sleep at night, not having to worry about that stuff. Let's see. Brett says, Seb took a huge dab, hopefully up big tomorrow. F the Bears. F the Bears. Hey, they've been doing actually pretty good this year. Finally, after so many years of, not doing great. But we'll enjoy it while it's here. And we got a great coach, and, I think Caleb is also going to be a pretty good quarterback going forward. There's definitely sparks of promise there with him as well. But yeah, we're not going to talk about football at all. All right, I've come to all you guys' questions here. We'll take a look at what happens tomorrow. I'll take a look at the stock or the impact of the quantitative easing on the stocks and Bitcoin there. We talked about it a little bit here today. We'll also take a look at the Clarity Act and what that actually entails in detail there. Let's see, Brett says we're due for a big breakout, Seb. I think so also, just the way that things are looking right now. But, what we think doesn't always play out. We've definitely learned that over the past couple of years. All right, let's see what else we got, Brett. One more comment here. Let's see. Bear market looks almost like it's almost ending. Well, that's good, right? So we get into a bull run here. That's going to be great. Lower interest rates, quantitative easing as well. All good things pointing in the right direction for us to where we go to the moon, hopefully. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for coming in as always. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great week this week. We'll cover anything that happens later on this week, as always, like we do. We'll get into some other data points and things like that. But thank you again for coming in. It's so late. As always, we do this late at night. But thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.